Now we are in part two of the story, my testimony, my life story. No filter. There was a connection issue on the first one, the first part. So I leave it. I don't post it. I leave it for editing. All right. I was left at the party, the Christmas party at my coworker's house, and on the December 16th of 2001, no, December 16th of 2000, what they call Y2K, remember? Uh-huh. And because I moved to Florida sometimes March 2001. All right. So he left on December 14th, and then I went to the party on the 16th of December. When I came back home, it was, I went with my son, of course. It's always the two of us. That's my little man. That was my little man. It was always the two of us. When we got back, and I saw I missed a phone call from 786. When I try to call back and I talked to a lady, and first she said that she didn't call the number, and then later she remembered that Ernst had used her phone. All right, so after he left, I couldn't go to work for about 2 days because the vehicle that I had purchased was in the mechanic, and he never told me where exactly it was. That's how trusting I was with people. So I remember that he said that the mechanic was working at the McDonald's with him. I decided, I called out one day. Yes, since I've been at the job, I never called out. So I'm like, okay, calling out 1 or 2 days won't harm me. So I went to the McDonald's and I asked for the mechanic. Didn't know the name of the individual. I just asked her, hey, I'm looking for the mechanic that works here. And they said, oh, Jean, but he doesn't work in the morning. He works at night. I was like, what time should I come back to meet him? Okay, they gave me the time and I went at that time and I met him. Oh, yes, a very nice individual. Yes, madam, how can I help you? I'm like, I believe that Ernst left you a car to fix for me. Oh, the Nissan, yes. Okay, so give me time to come to his house. And I went to his house the next morning and he took his time. He fixed the car. It took all day because it was very cold. The alternator didn't even have antifreeze, it had water in it. So, in order for him to fix it, it took all day waiting for, melting ice, and it took all day. I wanted the car to be fixed, so I waited there all day. All right, car got fixed. Then I went to work the next day. When I got to work, things got to normal. Call one time, it didn't affect me. Okay, now it's me and the landlord. Now it's because Ernst is no longer there. Listen, Ernst used to take $400 from me every 2 weeks for a year. I couldn't understand why, but he always told me that his car needs fixing every 2 weeks. He asked me for $400. and I was getting paid 900 something. And one day, my little sister, who was in the army, was talking to me, and then she asked me, "You do what?" I'm like, well, I cannot do this, I cannot do that, because half of my paycheck go to ends every 2 weeks when I get paid. You do what? Yes, just like you heard it. Cassia, don't do it no more. Don't give him, don't give him. She's a Libra. Libra don't really give like that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to stop, because it's been, since we've been together, we moved in. He always asks me for the $400. So why? I'm like, because of his car. Every 2 weeks, he said he went to computer, put his car on computer, and then find something wrong with the car. And then when I get paid, I have to give him $400. Okay, so I listened to my little sister. I said, I'm not gonna be able to just stop it shop like this. I'm gonna decrease it until no more. Like I said, okay, the next 2 weeks, he asked for $400. I say, I cannot give you 400, I'll give you 200. And he took 200. The next 2 weeks, I cannot give you 200, I give you 100. And then he took 100. And next 2 weeks, I cannot give you the money anymore, because the $400, why are we giving the $400? And we live in a house that I'm the one who furnished the place, brand new furniture, brand new stuff, a dining room, with 6 chairs and everything. That was beautiful. Everything I purchased except the bed that I find him with when he was living with his brother. Okay. When I decided in sometime January, I talked to the landlord. That was a Chinese couple. Very nice. We never had any problem. I said that I'm gonna have to leave because Ends is not here anymore. I was making only $10 an hour at that time. It wasn't gonna be enough to pay the rent. And I don't wanna give you guys any problem with rent. I do not like it. If I cannot pay it, I'm not staying. I make an arrangement with the landlords, and then they agree. So in the last day of February, I moved my stuff into a storage, and then I cleaned the house. They made arrangement with me and say, the day when you finish, move your stuff to the truck. Let us see the floor, because they only worry about the hardwood floor to see if it's scratched and things like that. I had put booties on the bottom of the feet of the chairs and things like that, so everything was fine. That same day, they wrote me a check for my deposit, and then I left. And I got to Florida. Let me see, 2 days later. Yeah, 2 days later. Before I got to Florida, I stopped by New York to see how it was gonna be. Um, when I got there, I didn't like it. Although I registered for medical assisting program in Manhattan, but I didn't. Too many people. It's like you walking and you bumping on people. I didn't like it. So there is another story behind it, me leaving, going to Florida from New York, but I'm not gonna focus on that now. Because I almost lost my son to the DCF. Uh, that's another story to tell. I almost lost my son for no reason. I only popped his hand just like this, where he slapped me and I popped his hand from a shelter. A friend I met online. We never met face to face. We only met online. We talked. He was Haitian as well. He had a karate school, and we related because it seems like we come from the same area in Haiti. So when we talk, we kind of connect. And so I told him what the what Ernest did and left without telling me. If he had told me he had find a place, then we would make arrangement that I would be able to save a month's rent. But he didn't. All right. So when I got to Florida, at that time I was chatting with AOL. AOL used to be cool. AOL used to be cool back then. It's you chat, you're able to delete your messages or when before if you change your mind, as long as it's not read, you're able to delete and things like that. So I used to meet people online after that, after him, and I moved to Florida with that same person chatting. He said he loved me, and he was living in Colorado, working at the gas station. He was from Senegal. They speak French, so we connected. I loved it. But when I got to Florida, he wanted me to move to Colorado instead of going to Florida. I said, no, I haven't met you face to face. I'm just gonna go to my family's house. We continue to talk and see. He had me talk to his sister Fatu and asked to marry me and everything. I turned it down because when I listened to him talk, it seems like his family had already picked a woman for him back home in Senegal. So I picture myself having a sister wife, and I'm not into polygamy relationship. So I never really say no to the marriage. I just left it until everything cut off like this. But he was very nice a man. Um, I find a job, actually two jobs. I don't know. That's why people, my family, kind of trying to destroy my life because I don't stay out of work for long. I just move into a place and I find good jobs too. Listen, jobs with good benefits. I find a job at the public storage where I wouldn't even need to be with my family. Where they give you they at that time they give you a place to stay and where you able to work and blah blah blah. I That was a good arrangement. But I also interviewed for Wachovia Bank. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember Wachovia Bank that turned into um, Wells Fargo. I like the benefits from Wells Fargo from Wachovia Bank, and I picked the job. When Listen, at Wachovia Bank, I was making the same money I was making in Massachusetts, and living was less in Florida than Massachusetts. And I was in a room with my sisters, 3-bedroom house. I had a room with my son. Um, I didn't have much bill. Listen, when I got there, after interview, I don't know how I do it. I remember every question and every answer I gave. So I had to teach my sister Claire was the questions that she would be asked and the answer that I have given, to give the same answers in order to get hired at that job. She went through the interviews, everything went fine. She said, Ketsia, the same questions you told me, that's the same questions the lady asked me. I say, I already felt it. That's what is going to happen. Then she got the job, but she couldn't start it. Guess why? She could not start the job because to me, she was very steady at Walt Disney. She was working at Walt Disney. So I had used her name for reference contact because my sister Schneider was working as a housekeeper in a factory. I felt that if I use her name, if she wants to be hired one day, they might not take her. So the other one, Claire, was the oldest, so I put her name. Then Lori, the supervisor, told me, Katsia, Claire was your sister? I said, yes. And then they said they cannot hire her because she's my sister. This is how she couldn't start the job. But I taught her the questions and the answers because she was not really fluent in English. I did high school here, so I had to prepare her for the interview. Okay, so now I started the job. Wonderful. In the afternoon, I go there, and then if whenever the job ends, if you I was processing checks, it did check processing, whatever check that was deposited during the day, and then we process them. We do keying the information, the amount that was deposited, it to balance the account at night, so the next morning when the people check their account, their money is there. I loved it. Let's say you go to work at 2 p.m. and then the work is finished by 8. No, nobody clocks out because you get paid for the whole 8 hours. Let's say you finish by 10, you get paid for the whole 8 hours. But I give an example, but I believe it was around 4 o'clock. I was making money. I 2 months after staying with my sisters, I moved into my own apartment. Moving into my own apartment is always because Claire was never remember where she put her car keys, and then she always just pick my car to leave for work. Then I have to deal with Schneider, taking Schneider car to her job and then take myself to work. I didn't like it because why, if you can't find your keys, and why don't you pick up Schneider's car key? Why my car key? And then I couldn't say anything about it. Whatever happens, happens. I just have to dig it. I'm not gonna argue with people. I just decided to look for an apartment. But they were not happy about it because that's the time that they were starting to ask me how much to give for the room. But I apologize. I didn't mean to have to move like this, but I felt it was better to put my son and myself in a different place without before we start arguing about money, or we start arguing about the car transportation. um Schneider had borrowed $700 for me at the time. She wanted to move her husband from Canada to the United States. She wanted money for gas money because her husband had to drive. And she also wanted someone that was closer to Canada to go to Canada and pick him up and drive him through the port because he didn't have any visa for the US. But I was not able to. At that time, I was in Waslandale, Massachusetts. So when I was in that house with her, this is the time that she felt she remembered that she owed me $700. Because when I borrow people money, I never remembered it because I don't focus on it. I'm always working, making money, so I don't remember. So when I was with her, she gave me the money, I believe, in 2 terms or 3, little by little. I take it because, hey, that was my money. I worked for it. All right. Um, for moving into my own apartment, I live by myself with my son. And one day, I advised my brother, MC Saul Pierre, to move in with me, um, with her wife and things like that, to get out of the cold. They agreed. On my birthday, I traveled to Massachusetts in order for me to remove myself from the storage, and they also find it convenient to also move along with me that day. On my birthday, I got there. The wife was like, everything she takes a long time to do, everything she takes a long time to do. And me, I don't have time because remember, I take time off from work and on a job that I just started. And then the storage had a time to close, and the next day was gonna be a holiday. Do you know the lingering time of the wife caused me to lose everything in the storage? So when we moved into my apartment, it was their furniture in my apartment because they caused me to lose my stuff in the storage. By the time we go to the storage, they already closed, and the next day was a holiday, and I had to return very fast to go to work. I said nothing, did not complain, but I was not happy, and nobody could really, a poker face, nobody could really see it. But I did say to my brother, it's not fair. In my apartment, I told my brother, there is a phone service in the house. You don't really have to get a service for yourself because I not in the house all the time. You can just use the phone, get a line into your room. Do you know that I have given my brother the master bedroom because he has a wife? I didn't want to know when they do their business because you would know when she goes and wash herself in the outside bathroom. I'm like, listen, you here with a wife, and it's only me and my son. I'll go sleep with my son, and you can take the master bedroom for you with your wife. Do you know I lost my respect for doing that nice things to them? My sister ended up telling me that she was not happy about it because every time the phone call or the phone ring, at the time I'm picking up, my brother also pick up at the same time, so you would not know when somebody else in the call. I am somebody that is very open. I speak about anything, men, girl, and things on the phone. I laugh because I just live my life. So certain conversation I have would make people think that I'm sleeping with the people, which I don't care. But every time I'm talking to somebody, he always have to complain. Oh, he called me trivial, uh, trivial because I talk about anything. I'm like, brother, I am 26 years old. Why would you worry about what I discuss on the phone with a man? I am 26 years old, been married with a child. One morning, the wife, my brother was complaining of cramps. With the cramps he had, I already know it's gas. But the woman didn't know what to do. I waited. I didn't want her to feel like I'm taking over because she lives with me. I waited until I realized she doesn't know what to do. And then I offer my help to my brother. I said, Maxwell, we call him Maxwell at home. I'm like, Maxwell, tell me what you feel. Where exactly is the pen? And then he told me, and I'm like, okay. Uh, I'm like, Mylene, your husband complaining all morning with cramps in the, you don't boil any tea for your husband. And she said, I don't know, Cassia. I'm like, she doesn't know what to do. Then I'm like, I turn now to my brother. I'm like, then this is a woman that you need in bed. If you're sick, the woman doesn't know what tea to boil for you for guys. I'm sorry. I'm direct. I said it. And then instead of saying, Katia, don't say that, especially she's right here. Uh-uh. He started to curse me. Salopery. Don't speak of my wife like this. Salopery in front of the wife. And I was in his advantage. And guess who got up to boil the tea for him? I did. I got up. I took whole cloves, uh, garlic clove, and I boiled it for him, put a little bit salt in it, and then he drank it. The pain went away. It was simply flatulence. in that same apartment. I got treated like crap until my sister Schneider advised me to just change the lock. Because someone cannot move with his wife into your apartment doing all these things to you. A lot of things, problem issues with AC, with heat, because the body temperature of the wife is very fragile, and it's me. I'm just taking in. I don't complain. I take in until I cannot take it no more, and I just when yeah. So I listened to what my sister was saying, and then I changed the lock. Then they went over my sister's place and then find an apartment. Okay, now this is to show how being with my family has always been, without even starting from my beginning of my life. Remember that brother of mine, when I was 12, I woke up I opened my eyes as I was sleeping on my back under a table. 12 years old. At night, you just lie down on the floor and then you fell asleep. Okay. When I don't know how to explain this. All I know is that I woke up and I opened my eyes, my brother was on top of me, kissing me. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then he put his hand on my mom and said, shh. I'm like, what are you doing? And now I'm tight on the floor and I don't cannot say anything. His in is in over my mouth. He got up. Then he told me don't say that to my sister Claire was, because she's the oldest and then he's the second. So all my life things happening to me and I cannot say anything. Everything I have to take in, take in, take in, take in. A year passed by. I said nothing to my sisters about it. When I was 13, a year later, he broke my arm obliquely. The radius bone broke in diagonal and ended up with a cast. I'm left-handed. I ended up having to write with my right hand, which is the only thing I do with my right hand. Everything else is the left. But I'm able to write with my right hand too, but it doesn't look the same as the right hand anymore. Okay. 13, got raped by a neighbor that was asking me out because I said no, and he got mad and he waited for me in the yard somewhere. Then he did what he did, and after while he's doing it, he's hating me and hating me, saying you're not even a virgin, you're not this, and then he's beating me up. I had no idea I wasn't a virgin. This is how I was wondering, how did I lose that virginity? Didn't know until 2021, when my sister Schneider was talking to me and said that she doesn't know how she lost her virginity. And I was like, me neither. I don't know how I lost my virginity. All I remember, somebody beating me up while raping me and say that I'm not even a virgin. Then my sister said that my dad used to call us into his bedroom one by one. Every time he finished with one, and he will say, you can go now, and then send in Ketsia. When he's finished with me, he will say, okay, go ahead and then send in another one. It was 4 girls in the house. I'm not sure if he did it to my oldest sister, because my oldest sister grew up with my grandfather and my grandmother on my mother's side. So I'm not sure if he did it to my sister, because later on, while I was 12, I learned that my sister was complaining that a doctor took her virginity inside the doctor in the examination room because my uncle who took her to the hospital left them together alone. There is no telling how true it is, I don't know. But she used to spend months without period. 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, whatever time. She didn't really have period. Okay, that I got raped, I kept it to myself because since I was 6, I was being accused of having sex with little boys my age, which I did not. Therefore, I didn't tell my family that I was raped when I was 13. I kept it to myself. Um, the day my arm got broken, it was a Thursday in January of 1989. I believe my arm broke January 9th. If we go back to the calendar on the phone, we will see what day it was. But I remember it was a Thursday. And I remember I went to the hospital 3 days later, which was the 12th. Therefore, it was on the 9th. When I got to my sister Claire Rose went to her boyfriend's house early morning and didn't return. So it was the four of us in the house, but the brother never home. All I know is that he spent all day out. When he comes back to beat up Ketsia. One day we were kind of broke because remember both our parents are in the United States sending money for us to care for us. But at that time there is a day that the money almost finished, so you cannot eat big the same way as every other days. Listen, that time I remember my sister gave the maid some money and then she bought beans. We cook very beautiful black beans mixed with rice, greasy and very tasty. She made it very well. We didn't mix sauce, gravy, nothing with it, just the rice and beans, very greasy and very spicy. So listen, you already broke. You don't eat in the morning, okay? I'm not gonna be lying to nobody. That day we didn't eat in the morning. We waited until that food was ready around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Or if it's not 4 o'clock, then it's a chance. So I was the second big eater in the house. First was my brother, then second me, then the third was Schneider, the one who passed in 2024, and then Claire was the oldest. Then that's how we divided the food by who eats more. I'm sorry, I have to laugh. My little sister was not a big eater. Listen, I was very hungry. I don't complain. Then my brother came over, not to me. He always go to Titit first. Titit is the last child, my little sister, but her real name is Shirley. My mom called her Titit because she was very skinny, small, and she was fragile. She always sick with bronchitis. So he goes to Titit and asks, give me some of your food. So Titit said, no. Give me some of your food. Titit says no. Every time he goes to Titit, Schneider stand up, leave her alone. So Titit has defense. When he leaves Titit, it's always coming to me, Katsia. When he comes to me, the same thing he tries with Titit, he come and try with me too. I'm like, you just came from Titit, Shirley, and she said no. What makes you think I'm gonna say yes? Well, I want some of your food. His food is not finished yet. When I said no, he pulled my plate. It was a bowl, a plastic bowl, and he kind of, tipping it over like he's gonna waste the food. because I say no. Then I remember getting listening to a song in the something they call camionette, public transportation. They always play music, and there was a music of Coupe Cloué. That's the singer name. That song. And it says, Yorele ça, tu voudras, yorele ça, qu'on pas m'en bas. Okay. Something came to my mind like this, and I said, you just want to put tu voudras in my food. Now, he started to beat me up. Remember, I was eating, so he disturbed my eating just to start trouble with me. Now, why is he beating me up at that time? He's beating me up for me to tell him what tu voudras is, and I have no idea what tu voudras is. Tell me what tu voudras is. Tell me what tu voudras is. What was he beating me up with? Shoes. Not a belt, not a tutu bef, not nothing. He picked up the shoes on the floor and then started to hit me with them. Remember, I'm left-handed. What arm do you think I used for the hit? My left arm, until I heard a sound in my arm. Then I'm like, remember, I'm from Haiti, so at that time there is no French speaking. It was just Creole. I was like, oh, my arm is broken. But in Creole, I'm like, bram cassé, meaning my arm is broken. My arm is broken. Nobody stand up. I'm still getting hit on same arm. I'm saying my arm is broken. Listen. After a while, then Schneider stand up now and say, leave her alone. You hear she said her arm is broken. Leave her alone. At that time, once Lala stand up for somebody, Maxwell back up. Although Maxwell is older than Lala, but for some reason, he's afraid of Lala. Now tell me something. Why did my arm have to be broken before somebody stood up for me? We might never know. Now, Titit now said, we need clear words if your arm is broken. Now, Titit and I, we walk to Claire's boyfriend's house where she was since the morning. Now remember, let me bring this to your attention. It was 5 children living in a house with no parents, no guardian. Claire was at 17, 18, was our guardian. When as me and my little sister walking towards Daniel, that was the guy's name, Daniel's house, I could not move my arm because that arm just had to stay hanging. And you know, when you're walking and running, you do like, you move your arm. I couldn't. So Titi took her time, and then we got to Daniel's house, and then we asked for Claire. Claire was just sitting there waiting for Marie-Ange for money. Remember, I said that day we were broke. There wasn't much money because the money that my mom and dad had sent was already almost finished. Excuse me. So when we got to see Claire was, and Titi says, Claire was, Nini's arm is broken. Bras Ninid cassé. Then my sister Claire was left the house, come along with us. Or there's a chance that me and Titi ended up going back together, and then Claire stays. I don't remember walking with Claire back. She later come to the house. Listen, no one took me to the hospital. No one did nothing with me. All I know is that I could not use my left arm, and it was hurting. On a Sunday, there is a sister in church that we use to go to use their phones to contact the United States. That day, Claire was took me with her over Chantal's. The sister is Santa Uma, and she has a daughter named Chantal who used to appreciate my dad very much. So because of that, when she sees us, she always appreciate us and give us, a good embrace and things like that. She came towards me, and then she happened to try to touch my arm and lift it up. I was like, ah, my arm is broken. I went down and I said, my arm is broken. She said, hold on. What do you mean your arm is broken? I said, yes, my arm is broken. She said, when? I said, since Thursday. She said, this is Sunday. And what do you mean your arm is broken and there is no cast? I said, everybody, nobody believes my arm is broken. Then Chantal said, Claire was, Katia says her arm is broken and nobody took her to the hospital. Then Claire was said to Chantal, we didn't have money for hospital. But listen, there is the general hospital where we don't pay. Claire was felt too chilly that she didn't want to go to the general hospital. She wanted to go to a doctor, a private doctor, and pay. Chantal said, here is money. Take the child to the doctor. So the Monday morning, Claire was took me to a private hospital called Clinique de la Ruelle, Bern. That was a métis doctor, half a white color and things like that, because my sister was tulu tutu. Okay, what you call aristocrat with no food one day. I'm sorry. Listen, the story will get interesting, but I have to mention certain things. And I'm going to go back to where I was in 2001. This part comes in because of the abuse from my brother to see how the relationship was already from early on. When we got to the doctor said, okay, we need an x-ray. Now, the hospital didn't have x-ray in it. We had to go to another place for the x-ray and then pick it up and then take it to the doctor. So we went to a place, an x-ray place that was across the general hospital that my sister didn't want to take me to. On the 12th, that same day, and then we had to pick it up on the 13th in the morning and then take it to the doctor. When we got there with the x-ray, the doctor looked at it and he said that you are very lucky. And my sister asked why. He said, if you waited one more day, she would have lost the arm. I would end up with tetanus in the arm, and then they would have to cut my arm off. My sister said, really, yes, she's lucky. You came right on time. And then they took care of my arm. They put the cast. I started from right there all the way up here, the elbow. I spent 30 days with the cast on. Even though I had the cast on, I was the one carrying a bucket of water into the house, even though we had maids, because they treated me. I couldn't be treated like them because they call me, I look like the maids, I look like the slave girls. On the 13th, after they put the cast on for me, we had to go back the next morning because I could not sleep. Something that they were supposed to put at the very first to protect the arm from itch, the doctor didn't put it. I spent the night with itch and could not sleep. So Claire was took me, Ketsia, back to the doctor, and then they ended up using a saw, a very tiny little saw, and cut it off and then take care of it again, put that was missing, and then put on the cast again. All right. So now we already know that the relationship with my brother wasn't that good, but that's a brother that I love very much, that I would take a bullet for. Because when I was 17, something happened to him, and I went to look for the guy who beat him up. I did. I went to look for him. I have no gun. I have nothing. All I know is I went to look for him, and I find him. And there was a military guy that loved me, that was asking me out. I went to him. Okay. Anyway, um, he didn't know that I went to look for the driver that beat him up. He didn't know until 2011. I told him, "Oh, you love me that much?" I was like, "Yeah, heck yeah." Although you were abusing me all my life. In 2011, when I told him that, that's the time I find out that my arm was broken in when I was 5 years old, and he was the one who caused it to break as well. I didn't know. To everybody in the house, we thought it was the twin sisters that had pushed me down from the little slope at the church. Then he confessed. He said, "That was me. I pushed you, and then I went inside the church, and the twin sisters was behind you. That's how you guys ended up thinking it's them." I was, "Are you serious? You're the one who pushed me down the hill?" He said, "Yes." And he got on his knees with tears and said he's sorry. I forgive him. Until something else happened, but I'm not gonna go there yet. I'm gonna go back to the story of working at Wachovia Bank. And when my brother had to leave my house in 2001, after he left the house, we didn't talk. We didn't talk until one time he was having a dinner at his house, and then they invited me in. I'm very forgiving. I went, I sat there, we ate, and then I went back home. After that, he and his wife got pregnant. Because of the pregnancy, they moved back to Massachusetts. After they left, my son got molested at a babysitter's house. I didn't know how to handle it. Instead of caring for my son, I've been through too much. I ended up taking my son to his dad's house because I didn't know how to handle it. Every time I asked him questions, something I saw there was a difference in his illness, but I kept asking him, "What happened to you?" He would just hug me and cry, but he never opened mouth and say, "This happened." So one day I'm like, okay, I have to ask the babysitter question. And I went to the babysitter's house. I asked Maria, "What happened to my son? What happened in your house?" Oh, well, the kids play together. And I'm like, "Do you know that you have three of your grandsons are gay?" "No." I'm like, "Well, do you know what happened to my child's ass?" My son ended up telling me that a year and a half later, after I took him back from his father's house, that TJ was playing with him. When I reported it to the police a year and a half later, Maria was no longer in that apartment. Now I'm talking about my first child. We were together for good 9 years, let's say 8 years, because I met my ex-husband when my son was 8 years old. When I was getting with him, I didn't want to put my son through a relationship before I get to know the individual. I put my son in an airplane, send him to his dad, in order for me to get used to the guy before I bring my son into the relationship. didn't know that his dad almost killed him when he was 6 when I took him there the first time. Now, when I took him back, I was pregnant with Bruce Lee, the second child. I received a phone call. Ma, the police want to talk to you. I was like, what do you mean the police want to talk to me? Yes, the police are here. I'm like, okay. So I took the phone. Okay, give the phone to the police. Well, ma'am, when are you taking your child back in this? And I'm like, well, I have a ticket. When I sent him there, it was a two-way ticket. Therefore, there is a date for him to come back. I didn't send him forever. They find him in the house by himself with no electricity, no food. Although I am the one sending money for my child to eat. Okay. The police advised me to take the child right away or they will take him to the DCF. I said, no, let me have my child. I ended up having to purchase another ticket for him to come to me right away because they gave me a deadline to take him. So I lost the ticket that was prior. And then he came back to me. When he came back to me, he came back with, all messed up with bad habits. They gave him drug. They gave him. He came to the house almost even beat myself up, picking up chairs to hit me on my stomach and things like that. So I had to take patience and dealing with the DCF for him to heal from whatever trauma he went through his father's house. Later on, you will get to know and understand that they had also done witchcraft on him to divide us, where I would go to prison and the dad would have him forever. It never happened. Every time they report me, I deal with the DCF. When they come and they see that my son is fine, there's never nothing wrong with him. Now, when did I meet my husband? And how did I meet my ex-husband? We will find out in the next session. We end this one here, and the next session will start when and how I meet Bruce Lee Bissett later.